You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning. It's May the 29th, and welcome to Psychedelics Cannabis Educational News with Newshawk's Rev Kelly and myself, Al Graham. We're live here from the Legacy420.com news desk, and we're live here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. Good morning, Rev Kelly. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good Monday morning. It's so sunny today and so warm. I think summer is here.
Yes. Well, summer's here. Hot over the
Yes.
weekend, and they're talking like 31, 32 degrees mid this week.
That's my favorite. Did you put your plants in? Did your plants go in? Because you usually do that after
They're
Labor
in.
Day or
Yeah.
Victoria Day. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. It was a gardening weekend. All the
Cool.
plants went in. We got some. We worked on the gardens out here at our door. We worked in the vegetable gardens, and I got my medicine in the ground.
You always plant such nice vegetables. I like when you start posting pictures of them towards later in the summer. So I'm going to look for them a little bit later on. Yeah.
Well, we're hoping. We got our fingers crossed. We got new beds this year, so
Nice.
hopefully they work really well for us.
Very good. Very good.
That's all we can hope for, right?
Yep. You bet.
So, all right. In the news, Cannabis Temple on the weekend.
Yeah, that
Karaoke?
was what a beautiful day. We've never had it so warm for a cannabis temple because we've just been doing it in the winter. So it was so nice to have nice weather and see
Right.
everyone. And we had karaoke singers. It was so strange. So two things we've never done at temple before, Al. Karaoke singers and ghost hunters came. And they went all through the Keene Theater, which is an old building, and they ran into a ghost woman and a little boy. So the next time you come back, just warning you, there's some pleasant poltergeists in our wonderful temple. There's the news today.
Yeah, well, it's good that they're pleasant.
Yes, they're pleasant apparently. So anyway.
All right,
There's
shall
the
we get
news.
started with today's news?
Yes.
All right, here we go. First story up. Headline says Competition Bureau recommends changing THC limits for edibles, easing pot packaging. And this comes to us from CTV News.
Yeah, it's Canada's competition watchdog is putting its weight behind some longtime cannabis industry asks, including easing restrictions on cannabis packaging and adjusting limits on how much of cannabis psychoactive compound, well, THC, can be found in the edible products.
In a submission to Health Canada and a panel reviewing cannabis legislation published Friday, the Competition Bureau positioned changing THC limits and giving cannabis companies more freedoms around packaging and marketing as a way to boost competition.
That's right. The Bureau believes that stronger competition in the cannabis industry would help foster innovation and benefit consumers by providing them with increased choice and quality, says the submission.
Importantly, these benefits would serve to further displace illicit market activity and bolster the legal cannabis industry. Now, they say that in a 2022 survey from Health Canada found nearly half of the 10,000 respondents who used cannabis in the last year purchased the substance exclusively from legal sources, an increase from 43% in 2021.
Wow, that's very interesting. So that's really increased a lot there. Some believe the true share of the illicit market is higher because of the stigma around revealing cannabis use, of course. Now, cannabis producers and shops have long felt THC and packaging changes would chisel away at the marketing share that illicit sellers have and help them reduce the hefty number of layoffs. facility closures and write downs that they've taken in recent years to keep their businesses afloat. You know what's really interesting is that they're saying that if they cut down on the packaging, that it'll stop the illicit market. But I've heard many people say they'd rather get a baggie from their guy than purchase the legal product packaging. So and I'm glad they're recognizing that the baggies are working.
Yeah,
Less
yeah.
packaging,
Baggies are easy to do,
a little
right?
marker,
Versus
we're
what?
good.
Yeah, exactly. I know some packaging requires a pair of scissors or
Yeah,
an extra strong arm in
unopen
order
it.
to
Yeah.
get them open. So they say their calls for change have grown in recent months after Ottawa launched a review last year of the Cannabis Act, which set purchase and possession limits and established safety requirements for growing, selling, and transporting the substance.
Now, when legalization legislation came into effect in 2018, it prevented cannabis products from being packaged in a way that is enticing to youths and limited THC in edibles to 10 milligrams per package. Illicit products often exceed the limit.
Yeah. Stakeholders have told the Bureau increasing the limit to 100 milligrams would make edible cannabis products more appealing to consumers, especially those currently sourcing them from the illicit market.
The Bureau suggested easing restrictions on cannabis promotion, packaging, and labeling would also give producers more room to innovate and help consumers make more informed purchasing decisions.
Now, to comply with the regulations, most cannabis companies package their products in stayed black or white containers devoid of eye-catching branding, which can help differentiate products from another. And the Bureau also took aim at the cannabis licensing process and compliance costs, suggesting that they made minimal intrusions to competition where possible.
The process currently requires cannabis producers to have facilities nearly completed, a process often costing millions, before they can receive licenses. Then there are lengthy and costly security requirements and annual regulatory fees.
Yeah, and then you know if you're even going to get your
Don't even know.
license.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, the Bureau goes on to say by minimizing the regulatory burden of the licensing process and reducing compliance costs where possible, decision makers can reduce barriers to entry and expansion as well as stimulate even more effective competition.
Mm. Now, rounding out its recommendations was a suggestion regarding excise duties, an area outside of the panel reviewing the Act's purview. The duties are imposed on products when they're delivered to buyers. For dried and fresh cannabis plants and seeds, they amount to higher of $1 per gram or 10% gram fee. So if it's $2, then you're paying 50% taxes.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. For edibles, extracts, and topicals, it's a flat rate based on the number of milligrams of total THC in the product. There are additional duties in Alberta, Nunavut, Ottawa, or Ontario, and Saskatchewan.
Wow. The total amount of unpaid cannabis excise duties has risen since legalization, the Bureau said. As of September 2022, 66% of licensees required to remit excise duties had an outstanding debt with the CRA. Whoa. CRA's coming
Wow,
to
we're
get
going to get into that in a minute,
you.
too.
Yeah, yeah, big
Many
time.
stakeholders interviewed by the Bureau raised Canada's excise duty framework and excise duty rates specifically as a major barrier to competition in the cannabis industry. These stakeholders told the Bureau that the current excise duty regime makes profitability and viability in the industry very challenging.
Canopy Growth Corp at Smith Falls welcomed the Bureau's recommendations, saying the Chief Executive Officer, David Klein, says that he found the suggestions mirror many of the industry's pleas.
Yeah, I agree. He said in a statement that legal producers need to be able to deliver the range of formats and potency that consumers are looking for to compete with the illicit market and support a sustainable cannabis industry in Canada. Sustainable.
It's equally critical that restrictions on engagement with consumers be revised to facilitate informed purchasing decisions, and we hope government will act swiftly on those recommendations as time is of the essence.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it is. There's some people out there that are Well, here we go. Let's get right into that. As far as the money end of things
Yep.
um, goes, as they were talking about in that bit, a bit in that story, right here. Unpaid cannabis tax in Canada balloons to almost $200 million. This is according to MJ Biz Daily. $200
From my friend Matt
million.
Lamers that I know that I met last week. Fantastic reporter, Matt. Thank you. What's the right revenue per square foot what's a realistic business outlook for cultivators? Get the realistic marketing forecast. Oh, that's not even the article. Sorry. The amount of unpaid federal excise tax owed by Canada's cash-strapped licensed cannabis producers more than tripled in the latest fiscal year from a year earlier as companies complain they're getting buried by government fees and levies.
I got a story that won't stop loading. Yeah. Federal licensed cannabis producers owe the Canada Revenue Agency
What?
$192.7 million. As of March the 31st, a more than threefold increase over the 21-22 fiscal year. That was
Wow.
52.4 million.
Oh my goodness. Levy debt has been on a steep upward curve since Canada legalized cannabis in 2018. The excise duty imposed on producers' dried cannabis is either $1 a gram or 10% of the value of the gram, whichever is greater.
As of March, as of the end of March, levy debt stood at 147,425
Yeah.
million in 2019, 4.4 million in 2020, 16 million in 2021. And they say that this
What?
massive and accelerated growth of total excise owing, as well as the total number of licensed producers in arrears, is indicative of sector-wide inability to survive under current excise tax policy. That's Dan Sutton, CEO of the British Columbia-based cannabis producer Tendless Labs.
Of course. How could you pay that? What? Now, Sutton has led a drive in recent years to try to convince the federal government to amend the tax. Different excise rules apply to various cannabis derivatives and other products such as edibles.
Yeah, the data obtained by MJ Biz Daily shows that the federal tax department is piling up at an increased number of licensed cannabis producers. In March of 2020, only 68 regulated cannabis businesses owed an excise debt to the federal government.
1 year later, that shot up to 141 companies with excise debt. And as of March 2023, that figure has skyrocketed to 213. It was just 68 just 2 years ago. Approximately 70% of the 305 licensees are required to pay excise duty, and they can't afford it. They can't pay it. So what are they going to do? They're going to shut them down?
Well, I know there
They
was one
can't.
article I saw. A headline said that the tax man was going out and after them. So
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
going to start
Yeah,
now. Oh,
could maybe that was just the headline. Maybe the rest of the story didn't see it. I just saw the headline as I was going through the news.
hmm.
So as cannabis excise tax soars across Canada, the Canadian Revenue Agency has been increasing the pressure on producers with outstanding payments. One letter the agency sent to a licensed producer obtained by MJ Biz Daily used the subject line "Legal warning about your cannabis duty debt." Maybe this is answering your question.
Whew, let's see. The Revenue Service warned that the businesses, if you do not pay the full amount or respond to this letter within 14 days, we may enforce cannabis duty provisions on the excise tax 2001 without further notice. What does that mean? What are they going to do?
Well, they asked the CRA how many legal warnings have been sent out to cannabis businesses recording their outstanding levy debt, and the CRA spokesperson says the CRA does not release information that could jeopardize the integrity of the tax system.
Of course. The bunch of quotes here. And I just really want
Yeah,
to know how it happened. Let's see. Tenetulous
yeah.
Labs Sutton urges Canada's tax policy. So it doesn't say what's going to happen to them.
No, well, it does say here that the CRA encourages taxpayers to contact us and work with us to develop suitable payment arrangements
Okay.
based on
Okay.
their ability to pay. So they're going to want to work with them.
Okay. Okay, good. It goes on to talk
Yeah.
about how it's a windfall for the government, which it really is. How the
Mm.
total excise duty assessed by the CRA on cannabis producers swelled to $752 million in 2021. That was almost half doubled from the 2021 fiscal year when the federal government pulled 514. That's crazy. And they
I
took
know
it
there's
from
lots of
them.
tax money collected, eh?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Canadian provincial and federal governments collected more than $1.5 billion in cannabis related profit and tax revenue in the fiscal 2021-22 year.
These producers are not making
Mm.
that kind of profit. These stores, these retailers are not making that kind of profit, but the Canadian government is.
The Canadian government is making all kinds of money. Yeah, exactly. They said in the 2021-22 fiscal year, which went from April to March, the government owed provincial cannabis authorities profits totaled $332 million.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
Other
tax bill.
tax revenue from, yeah. These are other taxes that they collect on the cannabis on top of the
On
excise
top of the
tax.
excise. The
Yeah,
harmonized sales tax, goods and service, provincial, territorial, and then other provinces have that too. Millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars of taxes that they're
yeah.
taking. Holy,
Yeah, oh yes, yeah. Yeah. Well, half the price of the cannabis comes pretty close to just tax money.
that's what is it?
So
You
this is
figured it out. What
still
was it a gram? 25 cents a gram you figured out? Like that it costs to
at one
produce
time
it?
there was an article. Yeah, there was an article that came out that said that outdoor production was 25 cents a gram. That
Yeah.
was a year or two ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
crazy. And they
There's
owe so much. Of course it's
money owed.
unpaid. They can't pay it.
Yeah, they can't pay it. They don't have the
Who
money.
can?
So I
So it's
can
gonna shut them down.
like as it says, they're gonna try to work with the companies.
Okay, good.
Well, and it doesn't come right out and say that, but I would think that if the company's not gonna isn't gonna be paying the tax, I don't know. That's probably the last resort thing that they want to do. I don't know.
Of course.
Because they
Of
claim
course.
it unpaid taxes. Just like if you don't pay your house taxes, they come along and take your house.
They come and take your house. Yeah. And sometimes they put you in jail
Yeah,
for
yeah.
evasion stuff.
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh boy.
All right, on to the next story. CBC article: Terminal cancer patient renews call for psilocybin access amid the Winnipeg magic mushroom shop bust.
Okay.
This is the patient
Good.
speaking out.
Nice photo. The active
There's the
component.
patient.
Yeah, Janice. The active component in magic mushrooms has helped give Janice Hughes, 66, a new outlook on life as she prepares for death. A benefit for the stage 4 breast cancer patient wants others who are suffering to experience in a safe way.
Psilocybin eased the weight of depression and anxiety the Winnipeg woman faced after receiving her diagnosis, and Hughes says she wants more people to have access to safe versions of it. She says that I no longer fear dying, which is an enormous a gift, because I am now able to fully enjoy life, however much time I have left. It did more than an end to than it did more than end the end of life anxiety. It has been liberating and helped more resolve childhood trauma. It's been phenomenal.
Wow. Hughes said she achieved
Mm,
that relief through just 2 guided therapeutic psilocybin sessions, which she accessed through illegal channels after Health Canada rejected her request for psilocybin assisted psychotherapy.
hmm Couldn't get it through the government. Gonna go somewhere else, right?
Right.
Hughes is among a growing number of Canadians and healthcare professionals calling on the federal government to decriminalize or legalize and regulate the substance as illegal retail shops continue to open.
On Friday, Winnipeg police raided a magic mushroom dispensary in Osborne Village neighborhood. It was one of several that have opened across Canada after over the past year or more. There
Yeah.
it is there.
Hughes sees parallel to the route cannabis took when several businesses opened and sold products illegally for a time before legalization. She says, I do see this as one of those elements that's going to help push this forward, but I do regret that there are people that may be hurt in the process, and that bad press may result that undermines the whole movement.
But I do endorse people making the natural substance available. For over a year,
Mhm.
magic mushroom dispensaries have been operating openly in Vancouver, BC, obtained a federal exemption from the Controlled Drug and Substance Act a year ago that decriminalized possession of small amounts of illicit drugs for personal use.
But that largely came in response to calls from harm reduction advocates amid a worsening drug poisoning and fatal overdose crisis in recent years, as toxic concoctions, including opioids, were one of the leading cause of such deaths.
So, Paul Lewin, who
Yeah.
is a cannabis and psychedelics lawyer based in Toronto, said he represents some of the Canadian magic mushroom stores that have been busted by police. That's a great photo there. He feels mushrooms would contain psilocybin
Mhm.
and psilocin remain illegal as a remnant of the failed drug war. Great way to put it.
Lewin goes on to say, I'm sure the recreational use by adults is coming. It's just a matter of time. The law is on the books, so it's hard to blame the police. I blame politicians.
That illegal retail stores are opening up in Canada is reflective of barriers to medical access and a form of civil disobedience that suggests the public isn't happy with the state of law, Lewin said.
Though federal approvals have been so far limited in Canada, there is some research suggests that magic mushrooms can help with a variety of mental health conditions, including depression and anxiety.
Radio Canada spoke with several passerbys outside Winnipeg's closed store on Saturday, the majority of whom indicated a tolerance for the sale of psilocybin mushrooms, but with certain caveats.
Yeah, Andrew Ross said making magic mushrooms available is a good idea in principle, though it's important to be regulated so people know the source and have the right information. He says, I'm not against having it, but I think there's a few more spot or steps to go before we get there.
More than 100 healthcare professionals fired a judicial review in federal court in 2022, challenging the federal health minister's decision that a year to reject their application to use restricted psychedelics for experimental training for the purpose of providing psilocybin assisted psychotherapy to patients.
Hughes is also a plaintiff in the charter case in federal court seeking to provide access to patients to psilocybin through a regulated system. Hughes applied through Health Canada for access through a Section 56 exemption to have a trained therapist administer psilocybin assisted psychotherapy about 16 months ago when the doctor suggested she had 2 years left. That was rejected. Health Canada suggested she instead apply for a newly introduced special access program exemption.
Wow, good for
Yeah,
her for
Section
really taking
56
this
is an
on.
exemption.
Yeah. None of the three
Hmm.
care providers were willing to prescribe psilocybin, that she was part of a key part of that pathway. She informed Health Canada of this, and they invited her to reapply through the Section 56 pathway, which she did about a year ago. She said, but Health
Yeah.
Canada recently notified her of its intent to reject that application too.
Oh, yeah. They insist it's for safety and the safety of the general public, but I find that which I find absurd. I'm a terminal patient with a near term expiry date. How is she a threat to society?
Yeah,
Come
what?
on. Yeah,
She
yeah.
she said that
She
she couldn't
decided she
afford
couldn't wait. Yeah, yep, yep.
and that
Keep going.
she has two psilocybin assisted therapy sessions with a Winnipeg therapist outside of legal avenues. She had to go for that. It cured her end of life anxiety and depression. I'm so glad this woman has come forward and is speaking
Mm.
about this. Sadly, she probably doesn't have much time left, but she's using the later years of her life to really talk about this. Thank you to her. Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Educating people.
Yeah. She
No
even
doubt
says that
about
people have
that.
died while
All
waiting.
right, here we go.
Are we I think
Oh
our
yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah. And that's what the gentleman, there's a gentleman out.
Yeah,
I can't remember where his case is, and he's on his way out the door, and they won't give him cannabis or psilocybin either. What's going
they
on?
won't give him crap.
Because
Yeah,
there's
I
what
know.
there
And
are
they
they
tell
threats
everybody
to
to
society? Like
turn
you
you
said,
down
they're
for
so
Section
dangerous.
56. Yeah,
What?
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, next headline, Marijuana Moment says that New York regulators plan to launch marijuana farmers markets within a month to help meet demand. Come on, Canada, let's do
Oh,
this.
I'm going to New York. Wow. Yeah, the regulators there said that they're working to launch. It's a pilot program, and it's going to allow cannabis farmers markets, and it could happen within a month.
Yeah, at a town hall event for cultivators was organized by the Cannabis Association of New York on Thursday, officials with the state Office of Cannabis Management said that marijuana farmers markets could help meet consumer demand while allowing growers to finally get products that are grown last year
Wow.
to the legal market. Grown
Wow,
last
wow. Could
year.
you imagine? Maybe they're extracts or they're, made into edibles
Yeah,
that they can't or
maybe.
something. So it's the rules for the New York Cannabis Growers Showcase. That's a great name. It's the program and they haven't been released. OCM Director of Policy John Kajia said that there are several issues that they're still working through internally, but they have the authorization here to discuss it.
The plan for the showcase is to have a minimum of 3 growers and at least one licensed retailer hosting farmers market style events in municipalities that authorize them. At least initially, on site consumption would be prohibited because permitting people to use marijuana at the markets would require additional permitting from the State Department of Public Health. Also, organizers will have to ensure that alcohol isn't sold at the events. Well, that last part is pretty easy, I would think,
No problem. No problem.
for the
Farmers
alcohol
market.
end.
So a farmer can grow cannabis as a crop and bring it to this farmer's market, and you can consume your
That's the
cannabis.
way I'm reading it.
This is a dream come true. What's going on here? I want to move there. OCM Chief Equity Officer Damian Fagan said at the event, which was first reported on by the New York Cannabis Insider, that regulators hope to get the farmers markets ready and open optimistically within a month. So June.
Wow.
Wow.
Theoretically, yeah, theoretically, I'll get this word out. Well, they say that farmers could seek municipal approval and hold the farmers market on their own property. Or they could seek to join other events like concerts and festivals that are being separately organized.
What?
Wow, Kelly.
What?
Yes.
Oh my
That's
god.
right.
New
Just gotta get
York is
approval.
doing it right. That's all they need is a permit. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. With just over a dozen licensed retailers currently operating in New York, the alternative sales model could help broaden access with while regulators work to stand up additional legal storefronts. Set up yeah, I think that's what
Yeah. I got some friggin' page that wants to keep loading all the time.
I know.
We think this is really important because it does 2 things. One, it allows the growers to get in front of the consumers who are going to be buying legally regulated product in New York, and allows you to tell your stories. That doesn't sound legally regulated product doesn't sound like someone growing at home and then
Yeah.
selling it at the market.
Where did the farmers go? What? Okay, 2, it allows you to sell product much more quickly across the states. So the idea would be that retailers are going to be confined to the regions where they're authorized to operate, but the growers would be able to do this anywhere in the state. Okay, so maybe growers will no longer have to sell at a retail shop, or like if it was here, you wouldn't have to use the OCS. You could just go to a farmer's market or to a festival and just set up shop
Mm,
there. If you that sounds like what they're doing. They're cutting out that other piece. That's brilliant.
yeah, yeah. They say the New York State Senate also recently formed a committee focused exclusively on cannabis that will be collaborating with regulators as the state's cannabis market evolves. Officials did announce in March that they are doubling the number of conditional adult use cannabis licenses that can be approved from 150 to 300. After receiving feedback from certain applicants, they would be able to be more expediently open storefronts without additional support through a state program designed to help eligible entities create physical locations. Only 300 stores in New
Yeah.
York. Like that sounds like just like not a
Isn't the
lot to cover the
population of
city.
New York the entire population of Canada? Like, something very on par with
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And
Oh
this
my
is all of New York. We got 300 in Toronto, probably.
yeah.
Never mind.
I think it's in
Province.
Peterborough by now.
Yeah,
No, there's a lot. I know that the story goes on, and I know that we're a little
yeah,
bit delayed for time, so I know we'll probably have to
y-
skip through that. A little bit of a longer article, but sounds like great progress happening in New York there. I'm gonna look for those markets.
yeah.
They're not far.
Markets.
That's not
That
far. We could
sounds a
drive
good
down there,
idea.
right? This
Yeah,
summer?
yeah, exactly. All right. Last story before we go to headline. It says, here we go. Aging baby boomers take pot mainstream.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody
Nearly
thought it was all
90
for the young people.
years.
Uh-uh.
Nope. After the anti-drug propaganda film Reefer Madness peddled unintentionally hilarious warnings, actually, about the perils of cannabis, cannabis is becoming accepted and legal across the US and increasingly popular among older adults.
Yeah, I've seen the Reefer Madness clip making its rounds on LinkedIn. Yeah. When today's retirees were teens, their elders didn't approve of cannabis. Now, however, it's the oldsters themselves whose physicians to prescribe cannabis to treat chronic pain, to ease the side effects of cancer chemotherapy, even to deal with Alzheimer's disease. Something that's been accused of making people's memories go bad is
Yeah,
being used to help people with bad memories.
it really is. More than two-thirds of
Hmm.
Americans support legalizing cannabis, according to Gallup, and 21 states, along with the District of Columbia, have legalized recreational use.
A lot about cannabis changed in the last 50 years, culturally, legally, chemically, technically, financially. Where folks used to have a couple of well-hidden plants growing in the backyard, there's now a multi-billion-dollar agricultural industry. Agricultural industry. That was nice of them to say that.
Yeah.
And the old $25 1 ounce plastic bag lid is now an exotic cannabis cultivar selling for more than $500 an ounce.
What? What?
Oh, yeah, that's what it says. $500 an ounce.
That's who's paying that? That's crazy.
I'm
What
not.
you need to know, I know we'll just skip through this, that older adults are the
Yeah,
fastest growing user group for cannabis.
yeah. Cannabis is a growing business. It sure is,
Yep.
in more ways
You
than
can
one.
invest in it. Yes.
Yeah. Cannabis appears to have some medical benefits. What do you mean appears? It sure does.
This ain't your 70s reefer. No, no, it's not. They didn't have diamond extracts back
Oh,
in the 70s. The best you got was that
yeah.
oil that you spread from the jar with the pin. That's the different now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that green oil, I call that the RSO of the day.
It is.
Uh,
It is.
there's a lot of gray between legal and illegal. Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
There is.
Employers have their own rules. That's a good reminder.
There are risks that come with that high. Let's see.
Yeah, you gotta watch that. Oh, I don't understand this one. You can become a pot addict, and it even says that it's a pot addict.
It
Well,
does. Yeah, it does. But friends can still get together. So there you go.
that's right. That's
There you
nice.
go. All right.
There you go.
We'll kill that story off. That one's done. And yeah, the senior age has increased
Yeah.
dramatically over the last couple of years as far
Mhm.
as percentages of them using it medicinally. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's neat. It's good
All
to see.
right. What do you say after break we go?
Yes, please.
All right. Kelly and I'll be right back after a medical session. You're watching Psychedelics Cannabis Educational News here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to savethevcbc at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. We're back from a medical session, and we've got 5 more stories, and I don't know if we'll get to them all, but we may just have to fly through them, Rev Kelly.
Okay, I'm here.
All right, we'll just do that. Here we go.
Just do that.
First story up from the Marijuana Moment. Headline says California officials award more than $50 million in marijuana tax-funded community reinvestment grants.
I like
Nice.
this one. It's really good. The Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, or GoBiz, said that the funds are being distributed to 31 different local health departments and community-based not-profit organizations that support economic and social development in areas disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs.
This marks the 5th year in a row that the office provided the grant funding, and the cannabis tax dollars that are supporting the program increased by about $15 million compared to last year.
The funds will be used to support efforts such as job placement, mental health and substance use disorder, legal services, and linkages to medical care. They've got some organizations they're going to be giving to.
Yeah, here, Goodwill of the San Francisco Bay, Los Angeles Conservation Corporation, County of LA Department of Public Health, Uncommon Law, what's that all about? Monterey County Health Departments, and Pro Bono Project Silicon Valley.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars there. Millions, is it total?
Millions. A couple there for $3 million apiece.
Wow. Funding levels for the programs have been consistently increasing year over year. In 2021, for example, the state awarded $29 million in grants to 58 not-for-profit organizations through the Cal Craig program. The initiative was first announced in April 2020. Wow.
So there you go. That one is done. So they're giving out some of those tax dollars to get some stuff done. They didn't say what the specific projects would be. Maybe that's going to come down the road.
Yeah, we'll find out.
All
But
right.
charities, that's wonderful. Let's do that here.
Okay. Next story. Yes. Oh, there we go. Come on. Amsterdam enforces ban on smoking cannabis in public. Wow. This comes to us from NDTV.
Amsterdam's famous red light district became a smoke-free zone for cannabis users this past week, May 25th. No more.
This means that cannabis consumption will not be allowed in public outdoor areas in the city center and be limited to cannabis coffee shops. The ban applies to Dam Square, the Rack, the Nieuwen Market, and the Red Light District. So you can't smoke cannabis on the street, but you can watch girls dancing in the window.
Without clothes on. After years of complaints from residents with the wild behavior of many of the 18 million annual visitors, a crackdown was enforced. Under the new rules, those smoking in public spaces in these areas will first be issued a warning. If ignored, they will be penalized with a €100 fine.
Yep. In February, Amsterdam City cannabis consumption in some parts of the city. While the new rules also apply to locals, the policy has primarily been to keep rowdy tourists in check. Cannabis rowdy? Come on.
Yeah, they're rowdy. Over the years, Amsterdam's liberal policy on cannabis and other so-called soft drugs has resulted in several neighborhoods of the city becoming unpleasant. Large crowds who are under the influence affect the residents' quality of life. Are they serving alcohol there? Could it be the alcohol that they would be serving there?
I know, exactly. Exactly. As of now, outdoor areas of coffee shops are excluded from the weed ban, but authorities may consider banning smoking on terraces at coffee shop if the problem isn't tackled. Like,
ban alcohol.
come on, really?
No.
Where have you ever seen that?
I don't know.
That is that's directed at
It's
the
all the
wrong source. I
pot
would
smokers'
say.
fault. It's theirs.
Yeah. Well, hey, if Amsterdam doesn't want the tourists, bring them here.
Bring them here.
Right?
Yep. Come on here.
Bring them. Come on.
That's right.
Come to Canada.
That's right.
All right. Next story from Marijuana Moment. Minnesota governor signs bill to create psychedelics task force and allow safe drug consumption.
That's right. Moving forward to the possible legalization, the Democratic-controlled legislature has sent a series of drug policy reform measures to Governor Tim Walz in recent weeks. Now, he signed the harm reduction and psychedelics proposals, which were part of broader omnibus health and human service legislation this past Wednesday.
This comes days after the governor enacted another bill with provisions to legalize drug paraphernalia possession, syringe services, residue, and testing. Another win for harm reduction advocates in the state. Meanwhile, he's preparing to hold a big ceremony next week after Memorial Day holiday to sign a much anticipated piece of legislation to legalize cannabis.
The psychedelics measure that Walz signed on Wednesday establishes a psychedelic medicine task force that would be responsible for advising lawmakers on the legal, medical, and policy issues associated with the legalization of psychedelic medicine in the state.
Yep. The body will need to survey existing studies in the scientific literature of the therapeutic efficacy psychedelic medicine in the treatment of mental health conditions, including depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and bipolar disorder, and any other mental health conditions and medical cannabis. They always went to go look for the bad stuff.
Right. It will help develop a plan addressing statutory changes necessarily for the legalization of psychedelic medicine and state and local regulation of psychedelic medicine.
As introduced as a standalone bill, the legislation would require the task uh, 5, oh, just say DMT,
Yep.
2CB, and ibogaine, Silverian A, and ketamine, but it was amended in committee to focus only on psilocybin, MDMA, and LSD.
So the newly enacted proposal calls for the appropriation of $338,000 in fiscal year 2024 and $171,000 in fiscal 2025 to fund the task force. This doesn't sound like a lot. I want them to have more money.
No. Yeah. This 23-member task force will consist of officials and experts, including a governor or a designee, the health commissioner, the state attorney general or a designee, 2 tribal representatives, people with expertise in substance misuse treatment, public health policy experts, military veterans with mental health conditions, and more. And it's good to see
Wow.
that the tribal people are involved in there, and
I
the
was just going to
military
say
people who are
very
patients.
that they're considering them. That's really good because it's indigenous.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
It's
separately,
important.
with
Yeah.
Waltz's signature on the Human Services Omnibus legislation, Minnesota is also now becoming the second state in the U.S. to authorize overdose prevention centers where people can use currently illicit drugs in a medically supervised environment.
We have that here in Canada, in BC, and we got like different cities like Toronto that are applying for things like that. So
Yeah, yeah.
good to see. They say that separately with Walt's signature. Okay, you've already read that. The bill directs the Commissioner of Human Services to create grants for harm reduction organizations, saying that the funding must be used to establish safe recovery sites that offer harm reduction services and supplies, including but not limited to safe injection spaces. The text says it provides more than $14.5 million in one-time funding that will be distributed annually until 2029, funding grants to create the facilities.
Emily Kaltenbach, who's the Senior Director of Criminal Legal and Policing Reform at the Drug Policy Alliance, said in a press release that the governor's actions marks a critical turning point, with Minnesota choosing a health approach over ineffective and harmful criminal approaches to respond to the overdose crisis moving forward.
Yeah, with a stroke of a pen, Governor Walz has taken bold and courageous action by signing SF 2934, which supports and creates a pathway for the state to officially sanction the use of overdose prevention centers. Doing so recognizes the reality that people will use drugs and the need to keep them safe while providing access to addiction services and support.
Cool.
Yeah, and just
That's
think,
cool.
there's somebody who wants to be the Prime Minister of Canada who is threatening to shut that down in our country.
Really? That happened?
Yep. No, he's threatening to if he ever becomes Prime Minister.
He will shut them down?
Yeah.
Oh, we cannot let that man become Prime Minister.
I can send you the story.
Oh, send me the story. That's terrible. Let's
All
go by
right.
him.
Yeah, that's not good. All right, next story here, the one that keeps loading on me. The headline on it, which you can't read there: proposal of reclassifying cannabis as a narcotic by the new government sows panic in the industry. You know what this is about?
What?
It's Thailand.
This is Thailand. No, we can't have this happen.
Yeah.
No,
We've been
Thailand just
promoting how
it's
good
so
Thailand's been going.
I know. I love them.
Yeah.
Oh, they have an Incredible Hulk store there. They're so excited.
Oh,
A proposal by Thailand's election-winning Move
yeah.
Forward Party to reclassify cannabis as a narcotic a year after it was made legal is sowing panic, of course, in an industry that is projected to be worth $1.2 billion US in the next few years. Wow. Thailand, 1.2 billion.
Yeah, thousands of businesses sprung up since the legalization of the consumption and cultivation of cannabis, with numerous shops in Bangkok and other tourist areas offering best buds to enlighten tourists and the Thai smokers. But they got a new government.
No, we can't have this happen. I love Thailand so much. Now the prospect of it was so great. Remember they had like the cannabis leaf guy next to the president or something? It was so
They
cool.
gave away 1 million seeds too.
Yeah. Now, there were the prospect, it's just a prospect of the new government rolling back the freewheeling market is making business owners nervous. Just a prospect.
Yeah, despite promises by the MFP to protect cannabis businesses, a proposed bill to set out the rules failed to get through Parliament, allowing a massive recreational cannabis business to take advantage of the legal vacuum in Thailand, which for years had a reputation of being tough on narcotics.
MFP has formed a coalition with other opposition parties, including the Few Thai Party, which responded to worries about health and abused by youngsters, made a campaign promise to ban the recreational use of cannabis.
Yeah. MFP and its allies published a political agenda over the past week that includes a proposal to reclassify cannabis as a controlled substance with new laws regulating and supporting its beneficial uses.
That is a stirring consternation in the pro cannabis lobby, including among the sort of progressive younger people who helped the opposition party sweep to victory.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And they say on Thursday, the party official Srikana Tashutska defended the plan to reclassify cannabis, saying it was necessary to end the legal vacuum. She nevertheless promised the business would get support as the party pushed regulation through Parliament. Because I know when it first came out, Kelly,
Yeah.
there wasn't any. It was just sort of a free for all.
Yeah, it really was.
And maybe with this new,
Yep.
yeah, it sounds like they're going to put in some regulations and controls, and it may not be welcome controls, as we know. We have them here, right?
We really, really do. I hope that it works out for them. Nothing's happened though. There, we purported that. Nothing, the sky hasn't fallen in
Yeah.
Thailand, right?
No.
Singapore maybe, but not Thailand.
Yeah, well, as we reported a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, there was a fellow that was hung there, Tang, and we don't have the story on it, but just recently another fellow was hung.
For
That's
cannabis.
2 in the last month that I'm aware of that have been hung in Singapore for cannabis.
Singapore and Thailand
Right.
are. It's so
Yeah.
funny how things happen.
All right. Last story of the day. And we'll go through this one quickly. Headline says exhibit exploring psychedelics in Sask medical legacy to open at Mackenzie Art Gallery.
That's so cool. It is an exhibit exploring psychedelic experiences and its connection to the history of the former mental hospital in Weyburn. And it's going to open up this Thursday.
Yep. The Beyond Within, presented by Toronto-based visual artist Annie McDowell, draws on sites of experimentation that are full of artistic and political possibilities, according to a release from the Mackenzie Art Gallery.
The exhibit opening up in Regina will feature patient illustrations and medical transcripts from the former Weyburn Mental Hospital. It opened in 1921 and was home to experimental treatment throughout the years, including LSD and electroshock treatment. Wow, this is interesting.
The latter one doesn't sound good. To fathom hell or Sorogenica, just take a pinch of psychedelic. Dr. Humphrey Osborne, British psychiatrist and superintendent at the Weyburn Mental Health, wrote to his friend Aldous Huxley in 1957, thus coining the word psychedelic.
Okay.
I thought that was a line in the song.
One of the
Fathom hell.
first times
Yeah.
written, and Aldous Huxley is well known for his work with psychedelics. So Osmond's research proposed that LSD would gain insight to better understanding patients by mimicking the psychotic effects of schizophrenia. Interesting.
Osmond and fellow psychiatrist Abram Hofer worked on a study using LSD as a treatment for mental health issues. The hospital closed its doors in 1971. Was officially closed in 2004 and was demolished in 2009.
The hospital controlled use of psychedelics is a prominent part of Saskatchewan's progressive medical legacy, and that's according to the release, and it will provide a backdrop to the exploration of ideas of the exhibit.
Yeah, an installation titled Set and Setting will feature 2 interior environments inspired by clinically guided psychedelic trips that are conducted at Weyburn's Mental Hospital. Within the installation space, visitors can watch videos that create a journey where the distinction between a patient and a nurse is made unclear, suggesting that boundary between subject and viewer is porous and shifting.
Wow, wow, wow. So it runs until October, and this Thursday you can go for free.
Free.
For free. You can
Yes.
go for free this Thursday at the grand opening, and then it's running until I don't know. That's very interesting. All that
Yeah.
research being done, but I don't know if I'd want to drive to Saskatchewan for that kind of exhibit. I think it's
Yeah,
a
it's
little
so
bit
far.
creepy.
It's a little bit of a, like
A little bit
we're a
creepy.
good 24 hours just get out of Ontario. Never mind getting
Yeah.
anywhere
Electric
else.
shock therapy. Wow.
Yeah, that sounds scary.
Yeah.
That
You
part
guys, some
sounds scary.
ghost hunters could probably go there and really like it. They would probably really like it. in the
Yeah,
mental hospital.
yeah.
The-
Well, there'd be a few there, I would think.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe some that are looking for some
hanging
help.
around the exhibit or something.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So what's up? Anything offhand?
Oh,
Gotta mention?
just really looking forward to this wonderful weather that we're going to get this week. You said 31 on Thursday
Yeah,
or something?
yeah.
Yeah.
And really, there's no rain in the forecast for almost 2
Okay.
weeks.
Yes.
So
Oh, that's not
saviors.
good for our plants. So we have to water our plants.
Correct.
Good reminder.
Correct. That's what I was thinking. Anybody who's just put their plants in the ground, make sure you got lots of water around because they're going to be needing them.
They're definitely going to be needed. All your vegetables.
Everything. Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Other than that, from the legacy420.com news desk, that's our PACE news report for May the 29th. Thanks to our buds at Camelford Lifestyle Shop and legacy420.com. And in closing, we'd like to say thank you for watching. And don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate. Bye-bye. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBG TV broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.